There's a lot going on this time of year at the Idaho State House. Committee meetings, bill proposals, and key debates that could shape Idaho's future. I'm James Dawson, state government reporter for Boise State Public Radio, and I spend my days from January to April sorting through the action at the legislature so you don't have to. Sign up for my weekly newsletter, Legislative Roundup, and you'll get each week's biggest news and developments from the session delivered straight to your inbox every Monday morning. Sign up for Legislative Roundup at our website, boisestatepublicradio.org.
Good morning. It's The Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Troy Oppie. Environmental advocates are suing to stop the Stibnite gold project in Valley County. Plus, many of those same advocacy groups were successful in a lawsuit that would limit trapping and snaring of wolves during certain seasons. And we check in at the State House, where Idaho House Republicans have easily passed a bill banning most flags from public buildings, and a mandatory minimum fine for marijuana possession is headed to the governor's desk. Those stories and more this morning on The Connector for Wednesday, February 19th. Idaho Governor Brad Little yesterday signed an executive order in support of border security and immigration enforcement actions taken by the Trump administration. The order directs state departments and agencies to ensure, quote, full compliance with federal immigration laws and directives. NPR has previously reported some immigrants with legal protections for their presence in the U.S. have been arrested anyway in sweeps of those without documented status. Nearly half of people detained in the first 2 weeks of the Trump administration did not have criminal records at all, according to NBC News. And last week, more than 24 religious groups sued the federal government in response to the Trump administration's policy that gives immigration agents more leeway to make arrests at so-called sensitive locations like schools, hospitals, and houses of worship. In a statement announcing yesterday's executive order, Governor Little said the Trump administration had been far more responsive to Idaho's immigration enforcement needs and better to work with compared to the Biden administration. House Republicans have easily passed a bill that bans most flags from public buildings, including pride flags. Our James Dawson has more.
Only the U.S. flag, state flags, flags for American military branches, and tribal flags would be allowed to fly at government offices under the measure. Republican Representative Heather Scott is the bill's lead sponsor. She says it's about unity.
This is about promoting America. This is about promoting Idaho, promoting our military, our POW flags, stuff that we can all agree on.
Supporters pointed to the pride flag that has flown at Boise City Hall as an example of the problem, though they say they're not singling out a particular city or flag. Opponents, including Republican Representative Lori McCann, say it seems clear only the rainbow flag is objectionable and that these decisions should be left up to local elected officials.
We are, again, overreaching our ability here to tell our local cities or our counties what they can and can't do.
McCann and 7 other Republicans joined Democrats in opposing the bill, which now goes to the state Senate. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
State lawmakers' proposal to establish a minimum $300 fine for simple marijuana possession in Idaho is now headed to the governor's desk. That follows its passage yesterday in Senate chambers. The bill, which critics say takes power away from elected judges to decide an appropriate fine, up to $1,000, passed both the House and Senate with veto-proof majorities. Yesterday, Republican Senators Phil Hart and Jim Guthrie joined all 6 Democrats to vote against the bill. Local and national conservation groups are suing the U.S. Forest Service for its approval of the reopening of the Stibnite mine earlier this year. Julie Luqueta has more on the Central Idaho Gold and Antimony mining project.
The Idaho Conservation League, the Center for Biological Diversity, and 4 other environmental organizations filed the suit Tuesday, saying the project would jeopardize public health, threaten local species, and permanently scar public land.
This mine is proposed to be built in the South Fork Salmon River watershed, which is a very important watershed for Idaho's salmon and steelhead and bull trout, which are all threatened species under the Endangered Species Act.
That's Brian Hurlbutt, an attorney for Advocates for the West, which represents the plaintiffs. He says the project would double the current size of the mine and disturb more than 3,200 acres.
Which is the equivalent of 2,500 football fields.
The plaintiffs say it's unclear how the site will be restored once the mining operation is over.
So it was a bit surprising that Fish and Wildlife agencies would sign off on a project like this.
The mine is located 45 miles east of McCall. If reopened, it will be the first domestic operation of antimony, a byproduct of gold mining, in the U.S. since 2001. Julie Duguetta, Boise State Public Radio News.
Referencing the 8 years of review leading to the project's approval, Perpetua, the company behind the project, wrote by email they were, quote, confident in the U.S. Forest Service's ability to defend its record of decision, unquote. A federal magistrate has upheld a previous decision that prohibits trapping and snaring of wolves during certain seasons. Jackson Holmes has more.
The initial lawsuit was filed by Earth Justice, an environmental nonprofit. Ben Scrimshaw is a senior associate attorney with Earth Justice. He says the decision to limit the recreational wolf trapping season to times when grizzly bears are hibernating will help protect the bears.
We know that the size of the wolf traps that are permitted by Idaho are more than capable of capturing and holding grizzly bears. And then snares are even more dangerous for grizzly bears.
After federal magistrate judge Candy Dale made the initial decision in March 2024, Idaho Fish and Game requested she reconsider. Roger Phillips, the public information supervisor for Idaho Fish and Game, says they are disappointed by both rulings.
Been trapping wolves for over a decade. There's never been a grizzly bear killed, and none that we know of ever been caught in a wolf trap.
Phillips says wolf trapping and snaring is a part of a long-term plan to manage wolf populations in Idaho, but trappers have already adapted their practices to comply with the ruling. Jackson Holmes, Boise State Public Radio News.
In sports, a big one tonight in Boise as the New Mexico Lobos are in town to take on Boise State men's basketball. New Mexico has won 8 straight games. They're 14-1 in conference, 22-4 overall this season, and a favorite to win the Mountain West. Boise State at 17-8 really needs a win to keep its resume in play for the NCAA tournaments this coming March. Tonight's game televised on the CBS Sports Network, tip-off at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Boise State, by the way, has not lost at home to the Lobos since 2017. That's your Connector for Wednesday, February 19th. I'm Troy Oppie. Our news director is Sasha Woodruff. Our newsroom's guest editor this week is Erica Peterson. Our general manager is Tom Michael. Make it a great day. Catch you again back here tomorrow.
Each morning, it's a new opportunity, a chance to start fresh. Up First from NPR makes each morning an opportunity to learn and to understand. Choose to join the world every morning with Up First, a podcast that hands you everything going on across the globe and down the street, all in 15 minutes or less. Start your day informed and anew with Up First by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts.